And now the winner of the writing contest. Let's get to it. The galaxy celebrated. The war was finally over. The alien fleets that once burned our colonies into ash were gone. Their empire shattered. Humanity had survived. But peace. Peace is fragile. And sometimes, the deadliest enemy doesn't arrive with starships or weapons. Sometimes, it waits in silence, inside the very hearts of those who claim victory. This is the story of the day humanity learned that the hardest battle begins after the last shot is fired. For 100 years, the war had defined humanity's existence. It was a war of survival, an endless clash against the Zorith, an alien empire that considered us nothing more than vermin trespassing in their stars. World after world was lost. Entire generations grew up never knowing peace. Every invention, every ounce of progress, every dream was redirected toward the war effort. Humanity became a species of soldiers, united by one purpose: to endure. And then, the impossible happened. The last Zorith stronghold fell. Their fleets, once endless, were reduced to drifting carcasses of metal and fire. When their final emperor surrendered, humanity tasted victory for the first time in a century. Across Earth, Mars, Titan, and the countless colonies, there were celebrations. Streets overflowed with parades. People who had only known loss finally allowed themselves to dream of the future. But not everyone was celebrating. Commander Ilara Vey, one of the youngest admirals to survive the war, felt the silence of peace like a wound that wouldn't close. She stood aboard the flagship Solstice Dawn, watching the fleets return home. She should have felt relief. Instead, she felt something gnawing at the edges of her thoughts. What comes after? The first signs appeared quietly. Veterans who had known nothing but combat struggled to adapt to civilian life. Colonies once united by survival began fighting over resources again. Old rivalries, suppressed during the war, resurfaced with venom. And then came the whispers. In the dark channels of the Galactic network, encrypted transmissions spoke of a new movement, the Ascendants. They claimed humanity had won the war not through courage, but through corruption. They said peace was an illusion, that unseen enemies still lingered among the stars. At first, no one believed them. But when supply convoys began vanishing in deep space, when colonies went silent without explanation, fear began to spread faster than truth. Admiral Ilara was summoned to the Council of Earth. The leaders, once strong, were already fracturing. The war drained us, one senator argued. We must focus on rebuilding, not chasing shadows. Another countered. Rebuilding means nothing if an unseen enemy strikes again. Ilara watched them argue and realized the terrible truth. The Zorith had never needed to destroy us. We were perfectly capable of destroying ourselves. Then came the incident that changed everything. A fleet of returning warships, veterans of the final campaign, refused to stand down. They declared themselves guardians of humanity and seized control of a mining colony near Alpha Centauri. They claimed the Council was weak, that only they could ensure survival against the next enemy. Civil war loomed on the horizon. Ilara was ordered to negotiate with the breakaway fleet. But when she arrived, she saw the faces of soldiers she once commanded. Soldiers who had fought and bled for humanity. They weren't traitors. They were simply unable to let go of the war. Peace makes us vulnerable, their leader told her. The real enemy is patience, Ilara. While we celebrate, they prepare. For a moment, she almost believed him, because in the black void beyond the stars, sensors picked up something unusual. Signals. Weak, fractured, but not human. Not Zorith either. Something else. Something waiting. The Council dismissed it as debris, interference. But Ilara couldn't ignore the feeling. The galaxy had grown silent. Yes. But silence is rarely empty. She stood in the war room, staring at the star maps. The war was over. But in her heart she knew, the real battle, the one that would decide humanity's future, was only beginning. The greatest enemies are not always the ones who attack us. Sometimes they are the doubts that linger after victory. Sometimes they are the fractures that divide us when peace feels unnatural. And sometimes the enemy is the silence itself. The war was over, but the real enemy was still waiting.